$70 per week grocery budget challenge. Why?
Well, we saw this challenge online and thought that it looked pretty inspiring. And so our idea was to eat and live more simply during the 6 weeks of Lent, and then be able to give more generously to our local food bank with the money that we saved. And we were doing this challenge with 4 people in the house, 2 adults and 2 teenagers. So $70 seemed like a pretty doable budget, but was it?
Well, yes, but it was a little bit complicated. So we had a lot of questions come up as we went about doing this. But we did learn a lot, and there were a lot of benefits from this experiment, and that's what we want to talk about today.
So starting this challenge off, we thought that it was actually going to be pretty easy, because apparently there are a multitude of people out there who do this every single week.
So it sounded easy, right? But as soon as we started it, the very first week, we ran into our first big question.
And that question was, what do you consider as groceries? Are you including drinks like tea, coffee, or soda? Are you including non-food items like dish detergent or paper towels, which you would normally buy at the grocery store? Because if you are including these things, $70 kind of struggles to cover everything.
Yeah, you're not going to get very far on $70 if you're buying paper towels and Diet Pepsi, but it doesn't really make sense to be at Walmart and not buy those things. So that was something that we learned up front. Lesson number 1, when you jump into a challenge like this, make sure you understand or set your own guidelines, because otherwise you'll just kind of make yourself crazy trying to figure it out as you go along.
So the second thing we learned is that it's not very much fun at all to tally your purchases while you're going through the store. Because you're trying to push the cart and you're trying to keep a grip on your phone, but you don't want to touch your phone because you might mess up something on the calculator. And then you're also trying to keep a mental inventory of everything going in your cart just in case you do mess up the calculator and the total gets off. And so it's like one thing after another, and it feels a little crazy.
It shouldn't be that hard, but it was. And no matter how careful we were, the phone calculator was touchy, and it seemed like at some point we always lost our total, or we knew we were off. So the first couple of weeks we did this experiment, it was fun and enlightening to watch the number go up as we put things in our cart. But then after that, it just got old, and it also made my heart go out to people who do this type of budgeting strictly every week as a reality, because times are hard. I really feel for them. I'm very grateful that here we have a little bit of wiggle room in our grocery budget.
So the third thing that we learned when only spending those $70 is that we quickly figure out what our true needs are versus what our wants are. So you can pretty much say goodbye to all those impulse purchases, which might not be such a bad thing. But it also forced us to meal plan as well, so we knew exactly what we were going to need. And we also had times where we had to get creative because we didn't have an item and couldn't just, run over to the grocery store.
Nope. Okay, so the fourth thing we learned is that to do this type of budget grocery shopping, at least in our area, you have to have an ace in the hole, a grocery bargain source. Maybe in your area it's Lidl, maybe you have a Kroger that has really good discount, they clearance things out. In our area we have Aldi and Lidl, and that made this experiment much more doable. Normally, I like to go to Publix. I don't always go there, but I go there every now and then. But even with their buy one, get one free deals, my $70 just would not have gone very far. Aldi was our champion here. Definitely Aldi makes your dollar go further.
So the fifth thing that we learned was, while we could buy what we needed for the week off of the $70, it was very hard to build up an emergency food supply. Now, we're not crazy preppers here, but we do like to have some sort of about 2-week reserve, and that just wasn't happening with only $70 a week.
In fact, we were tapping into our emergency food supply sometimes to stretch our $70 budget. And as the weeks went by, our backup supplies were going down. And that did make me uncomfortable because all throughout the pandemic here, there have always been things that have just randomly disappeared from the grocery store shelves. It was pumpkin, it was peaches, it was flour, it was yeast. So whenever I see those things in the store, I tend to buy them because I know that they could disappear again. And not having the extra money to do that really kind of made me feel uneasy. Now, if it wasn't the pandemic, I probably wouldn't care that much, but I've kind of, the pandemic changed us, I guess. I don't know.
The sixth thing that we learned is that special events were a killer. You know, it was easy enough to keep to that $70 budget for an average week, eating some simpler meals, eating some meatless meals. But then we got invited to a potluck for St. Patrick's Day, which we had to buy extra food for, and that caused us to have to do a lot of budget juggling, which wasn't fun. And it was also the same thing for Easter, buying extra food again and also treats. And then birthdays and any other sort of events could do the same thing. So if this were something that was long term, we might have had to create a special events type of budget.
So that was what we learned from our food budget experiment, but there were also a lot of benefits too. For one thing, we did save a lot of money every week sticking to our $70 budget, and so we were able to buy more food that we just gave to the food bank, so we accomplished our goal.
We also had some more free time. We weren't just running out to the grocery store for one thing and then another thing, and we just got creative and used what we had. And like we said before, we also got pretty good at identifying our wants versus our needs.
And we discovered that nobody here really minded eating simpler meals or meatless meals. We ate a lot of meals that involve beans, like baked beans or chili, and it was fine. I don't even think the boys noticed.
So the real question is, will we continue to stick to this budget?
I don't know. Probably not, because for one thing, I really did not like having to keep a running tally on the calculator whenever we put something in the cart. I thought that was just a hassle, and it was annoying whenever the calculator got messed up.
And the shopping itself did take longer because we're having to think through every single purchase.
Yeah, that was hard. For example, at the end of one shopping trip, I still had to buy pepperoni that we were planning to use for a pizza, but my son had asked for whipped cream in a can, and he never asks for anything when I go to the grocery store, so I really wanted to get it for him. So I was literally standing in the aisle with whipped cream and pepperoni thinking, what do? I don't have money for both of these. I either have to get one or the other or put something else in my cart back. So I had grocery shopping paralysis for several moments while I tried to figure out what I was going to do.
And so finally, did we manage to stick to the $70 budget all throughout Lent? And the answer to that is mostly. We had 1 week where we miscalculated and went about $5 over.
And then for buying Easter dinner, we kind of cheated for that. We waited until Holy Saturday, which is technically not part of Lent, and we did our shopping that day because we were down to the end and that $70 budget just wasn't stretching far enough. So we took that little loophole. All right, so there you have it. That's the whole story. We are really glad we did this experiment. We definitely learned a lot, and we're definitely glad it's over.
So let us know in the comments if you keep a grocery budget and also any tips you have for doing so.
We will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.